Hello everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Calypso Cigar Review Quickie. I'm your host Brandon Luna, and today we'll be reviewing something special. The Arturo Fuente Anejo 46. I always say, if you got something special, you don't necessarily have to have a special day to smoke it. This is just a regular day, but dang it, this thing's got 2 years on it, and I want to smoke it. This is from June of 2012. It is the Arturo Fuente Anejo 46. And to give you a little deets on the 46, you're looking at basically a Connecticut broadleaf wrapper combined with the same binder and filler as the Opus X. So it's about as close to an Opus X as you can get. They are a limited edition just like the Opus X, so they are pretty hard to find. They're really only available probably once a year. And this one, you know, just got lost in the humidor, which is what you kind of want to do with these. They get a little better with age, so why not put some age on it and then give it a smoke. So I'm going to go ahead and give it a cut and a light and let you know what I think. Now, they like to do a lot to these guys so that you can't get into them. They've got a cloth band on them, if you can see that right there. They've got the cedar wrap on them, so there's a lot going on with trying to get this ready to smoke, so it does take a little prep before you can actually smoke your Anejo. Oh, the foot smell is really like a sweet, spicy, it just smells delicious. There is a piece of plastic stuck to the foot though. That's interesting. I'll deal with that in a second. So I'm going to go ahead and give it a cut and light and give you guys my opinion on the first third of the Anejo 46 from June of 2012. It's yummy. It is not as strong as the one I had a couple of years ago, but it definitely does have a lot of flavor to it. Very much like drinking a nice cup of espresso. Very earthy, very coffee taste to it. The ash has been really flaky, but it is also pretty windy outside, if you can't tell by the chimes going off in the background. So I'm going to blame it on the wind for that one. The burn line also has been not the best, but again, I'm going to blame that on the wind. This has been stored in a humidor at between 68 and 70 degrees at about 65 RH for the past year or so. So it should be good as far as the RH is concerned and everything. So that burn and the flakiness of the ash, I'm going to go ahead and blame it on the fact that it's really windy out here. So overall, flavor-wise, there's not a whole lot of complexity to it. Basically, the flavor that I got at the first third and at the end of the first third is pretty much the same. It's got a lot of earthy notes, a lot of cocoa and coffee. Well, not a lot of cocoa, actually, a little bit of cocoa. Not a lot. It's more like a baker's chocolate, so it's a little bitter with that coffee flavor. There's not a lot of sweetness in this at all. Sweetness that I got on the foot when I sniffed it before I lit it, not really there. It's not really a very sweet cigar, not like when you smoke one rot. If you were to smoke one of these rot, it has a little sweetness to it that is decidedly absent after aging it. So if you like that sweetness, you might not want to age it so much. If you don't really care about the sweetness, it'll age right out and you'll get a good, I'd say, balanced smoke. It's very balanced and very tasty, and it would probably pair really nicely with a cup of coffee or a nice bourbon, or even like a Lafroig scotch would be really good with this, something with a little peat to it. Retrohale is a little spicy, but not so spicy that you couldn't retrohale the whole thing or most of it. But it's a great smoke. I mean, I'm not going to say anything bad about the Anejos. I like them, but they're not for everybody. A lot of people prefer them over the Opus because you don't have to age them as much. I tend to probably be in that category. I tend to like them a little better than the Opus because you just really have to age those Opus a lot, and I don't have a lot of patience for that. So I'm going to get into the second third. I'll come back with an update on the second third of the Arturo Fuente 46 Anejo with some age on it. Alright, so I'm into the second third of the Arturo Fuente Anejo 46 with about 2 years on it, and it has changed a little bit, complexity-wise. It's gotten a little bit sweeter. I'd say it's kind of like a raisin sweetness, and the burn line is still kind of jagged, and the ash is still very flaky. But again, I'm going to attribute that to the weather, the fact that it's a little windy out here. That sweetness is a nice change, has made it a little more complex than I was expecting, and I do like that sweetness, which is why I tend to think I lean more towards Nicaraguan cigars, more so than Dominican, and the Fuentes are Dominican, so I tend to like Padrones a little better than, say, Fuentes, and that's why I tend to spend my money more on Padron 64s and 26s, because I think I like that flavor profile a little better than what the Dominican offers with the Fuentes. That's a personal taste thing. Doesn't mean that the cigar is bad. It just means that for me, I prefer the Padrones over the Fuentes. But it is a very good smoke. I think it's definitely worth the money as far as being an upper echelon Fuentes concerned. It definitely does have a better taste than, say, like a Hemingway, which is pretty much one note. Unless you get into like the classic, which is a longer smoke, and there tends to be a little more going on in that than, say, like a bestseller or something like that. Fuente Maduros tend to have very little sweetness in them, and I've noticed that in my time smoking Fuentes, and that's, I think, why I like the Padrones a little more as well. There tend to be a little more sweetness in their Maduros, but even then you get into Ligas, and those are extremely sweet Maduros with a lot of robust flavors. So for me, I would probably spend my money on a Padron over a Fuente again, but I still like the Fuentes. I'm in the second third now, about to finish it and get into the last third, so I'll give you an update on that last third. Okay, so I'm at the last third of the Arturo Fuente Anejo 46. Now, I said it had 2 years on it. It's from June of 2012, so really it's like a year and 7 months or 6 months or whatever the math is there. I suck at math. This guy, not good at math. So it has gotten a little stronger in the last third. There's definitely a little bit of that bitter chocolate coming into play, along with like a strong coffee flavor, and that's a welcome change. And it's a long smoke. I mean, I took my time with this. I started at about 12:30 and it's about 2 now, so you're talking hour and a half smoke out of a Corona. It's a good deal. So, añejos, are they all they're cracked up to be? That is a matter of opinion. If you're a big Fuente fan, this is that once a year smoke that you just want to get a whole bunch of and hold on to. Go for it. It's a tasty smoke. Doesn't have that sweetness that I hoped that it would have, so I'll probably smoke these more rot than I will aged, just because I think they taste a little better that way. But that's, again, personal preference. It's all about your palate and what you like. But definitely a good smoke. I would smoke it again. In fact, I will. I have a few more. I think I have a couple of Sharks, and I have some Sharks with some age on them, so I'll smoke those soon as well. Hopefully those will be a little different, maybe a little sweeter. We'll see. Never know. But as always, check us out on the Calypso Cigar Review Podcast. The full-length podcast is available on iTunes, Podomatic, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, and go over there and give us the heart and the like on Facebook and subscribe. We always appreciate it. Any comments or questions that you have, you can post there on YouTube or on iTunes or anywhere. We always appreciate it. And as always, it's been great smoking with you.